with Christianity and with Islam, something that we need to uphold, and I think we really uphold in our worldviews, is that there is a continuity with what came before Christianity and Islam. Obviously, Islam would say it's been here since the beginning, but let's just, for the sake of the argument, say it came around, the 6th century. And so you have Islam, you have Christianity. What is always upheld in both of these worldviews is continuity with Judaism. And so what happens a lot of the time when I do speak to Muslims is that Christians have walked away from the monotheism of the past. Let's say you find it within the Jewish paradigm. And what I'm trying to say to you is that maybe there was a more tightening of the understanding of monotheism when it came to the Islamic worldview. But what I'm trying to say to you is that there is a continuity between Christianity and Judaism. And so even if there is a divergence when it comes to Christianity and Islam, that is not problematic. There will be a problem if you were to point to me and say, well, Jews understood monotheism in this specific sense, and not just obviously saying ancient Judaism, but let's even say Second Temple Judaism, so the time of Jesus, the immediate followers of Jesus understood monotheism in this specific sense, and Christians have moved away, then that will be a problem. But what I'm trying to say to you is that there's a continuity between Judaism and Christianity in affirming monotheism. And so maybe there's a difference when it comes to Islam, but then Islam has a problem then, if that's the case, because continuity of belief needs to be there. If you are saying that this religion has been here since the beginning, and it's the religion that we find in Judaism, maybe corruption came in, but it's the same nucleus there, it's the same religion that is then explicated fullest at the time of Prophet Muhammad, then you must have continuity and connectedness of belief. But if there's a breaking of that, and I'm saying there's a breaking of that when it comes to monotheism, then there's a problem there in claiming continuity and connectedness of belief. Christians don't have that, because we're trying to say actually in Second Temple Judaism, this is the understanding of monotheism that Christians have upholded all the way up to Nicaea.
Yeah, but what about before that? Do you think that the Jews always believed that, and can that be demonstrated historically?
Yes.
I don't think that.
Well, I would say to you.
Would you make that strong of a claim?
Oh wait, are you saying Trinitarianism itself?
No. I'm saying
the understanding of monotheism. Yeah.
The understanding of monotheism in the sense that it's problematic to associate things with God, not just in the nominal sense of using the word God, because we see that in the Old Testament with Moses, for example, is made a god to Pharaoh, Elohim, and things like that. That's not what I mean. What I mean is in the sense that there were Jews that believed in the monarchy of the Father and that didn't believe in the existence of the Son and the Spirit, and would use the term God loosely and fluidly to refer to other beings, but never understood that those other beings were equal to the Father.
Okay, so obviously prior to the time of Christ, there wasn't that maybe clear explicated understanding of there being two other divine persons. But what I'm trying to say to you is that for the whole point of what I'm trying to explain is that monotheism wasn't to do with divinity. That's what I'm really trying to emphasize here. And so if there was more than
but was that universally held by the Jews?
I would say it's been quite clearly shown by quite a few scholars. I think a clear one is Michael Heisner. And so it's sort of this idea of the divine council.
I'm familiar with all that material. But I'm saying, is there descending or opinions that are scholarly that disagree with those theories, in the sense that that's not, although that may have been held by some Jews, doesn't mean that it was universal.
Oh yes, of course. I mean, in any field, you could always find scholars disagreeing on stuff. But you go with what's the majority, and also who's the most reputable in the field, who people are then being most influenced by in their sort of scholarly work. And I think a lot of people would look to individuals who have been tackling this issue. So, for example, Larry Hurtado, I think he's played a massive role in sort of ancient Jewish monotheism, understanding what that is, and he has shown clearly in his work that, and even Richard Borkham itself, even though he's a Christian, I think a lot of scholars looked at his work as being very, very influential. Even Hurtado himself pointed to Borkham prior to his death.
I'm not saying all this stuff is nonsense.
So I'm saying to you that obviously you'll have diversion of opinion in any field, but a number of reputable scholars would say actually monotheism correctly understood was to do with worship practice, and the idea that actually we worship the one God, the Father, and we don't worship any other deity, we don't sacrifice to any other deity, and that's what grounded monotheism. Yet belief in more than one deity wasn't a problem. So Hurtado really is emphasizing that idea. He even says we shouldn't, well, not him actually, sorry, other scholars have said we shouldn't use the word monotheism anymore, because it's just not helpful, because monotheism now has come to the idea that there is a belief in one God, belief in one deity. But actually ancient Jewish monotheism, which Hurtado is really emphasizing, is worship practice. We worship and sacrifice to the one God alone, and that's what makes us monotheistic. Even though we might believe in a plurality of other divine entities within our worldview, that doesn't stop us from being monotheistic. And so what I'm trying to say to you is that there is an emphasis here that there is a categorical distinction between the one God, who we would call the Father, and there being other divine entities. And so what I'm trying to say to you is, with contemporary speech taken from metaphysics, fundamentality is that categorical distinction. He is the fundamental entity because he's unsourced and is the source of all reality. Yet there can be other divine entities that share his qualities, yet they're non-fundamental because they are grounded or come from him in some specific sense of that word.
So let me be clear. The Muslim position would be, even if we couldn't find a single trace of evidence of the Islamic conception, we would still believe in it. So the historical account for us, although we'll look at what the evidence is, lack of evidence, even if I granted it for the sake of argument, which I'm not, let's say there's absolutely no evidence, Muslims would still believe in it, because we believe that our faith is justified by other prior considerations, by the Quran itself, by the prophethood of Muhammad, etc. And so because of that, even if we couldn't, let's say for sake of argument, we could not find within the Jewish tradition any semblance of the Islamic conception of God, in that you didn't have these other lesser divine beings who were accepted, and it was sort of this not strict monotheistic religion in the way that Muslims conceive of it, still wouldn't be a problem for us in that way. Now, you may look at that as problematic, and maybe some other people would as well. But for me personally, and I don't think Muslims in general either would disagree with this, that our position on this does not rest on a historical analysis of what is going on in contemporary scholarship based on this. See what I'm saying?